Welcome to Cover 24. It's your host, B Flow, co-host C's. And today, we got a special episode for you. We have Lacey Goldwire, Pauline Love, two great, brilliant minds when it comes to women's basketball. Basketball period, not just women's basketball period, and just a great outlook of life, and we have some of the realest last names ever on this podcast. Brandon Flowers, Chris Caesar, Pauline Love, Lacey Goldwire. Hey man, we finna lock in right now. Appreciate y'all coming on the show, ladies.
Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for having us.
So myself and my co-host, Chris Caesar, right? We go back and forth on different topics. Right. And we are glad that y'all on the show to help us out with these things, especially what these college students, high school students are going through just today in their experience in school and life, making a transition from high school to college, from college to the NBA, WNBA, whatever professional sports they're going to, right?
Right.
And this whole new portal thing, right? Because we get a lot of questions on our side about the portal. When should you enter it? Should you enter it? At first, I didn't like the portal, but he brought me along and told me why it's a good thing. What do you feel about the portal? And if a player should transfer, when do you think is the right time? Because just for a brief background, this is what I said about the portal. I didn't like the portal initially because I thought players should just stick it through, right? You came to college for a reason. You might not be starting when you want to, but that's why you work your way up the depth chart and just finish your season and your college just experience of with the people you came in with. You know what I'm saying? When I was playing, when we were in college, it was no really transfer like that. It really didn't happen, But I think with the portal now, I think it's just so easy for players to quit and give up on the schools that they initially signed to. C's had another perspective and viewpoint where he said sometimes players make the wrong decision coming out of high school.
Right.
Sometimes they just get in a doghouse with the coach and they're not going to see playing time. So he's just glad that they should have it in their back pocket, which I agree with.
I love the power.
You should have that power.
In the player's power. The players having the power, I should say.
Players having a little bit of power, having that portal in their back pocket.
Right.
About transferring and leaving school. Do you love the portal? I want to get both of y'all perspective on this. Do y'all like the portal? And also, if a player does enter the portal, when do you think is the right time for them to enter the portal?
I want to just start by saying all of us are about the same age. And when we played college basketball or college football, recruiting looked a lot different, right? Like in college basketball, you were getting a lot of recruits from junior college. If they weren't as good coming in, you would go to a junior college and you would look for 2-year commitments from junior college at a junior and a senior. You come in and that's where you got your experience from. If you were a program that was starting out, you went and got some junior college kids. Secondly, I also think that the recruiting process was different. Brandon, I know you went to military academy. C's, I'm sure that you had some similar recruiting process.
He was kind of spoiled. He went straight to Virginia Tech. He was like a 5-star athlete, and he had all these.
My bad. Okay.
He ain't like us that went the hard way. He was spoiled.
I knew you were an all-star. I just didn't want to, brag.
You didn't want to put it out there like that. Yeah, it's all good.
But what I'm saying is, the process was different when you were being recruited to get into school and how you got into school and what you looked for in a school and how long coaches stayed. And I think the process has just changed so much that it's kind of like whenever things materialize and they get better and they progress. Mm-hmm. The transfer portal is just a progression of recruiting. And I think that the transfer portal is helpful. And I think that we've seen it be successful in different ways. P, I don't know if you feel kind of similar or if you have a different view, but in our women's basketball world, I think that's kind of just like a general starting point for the process in the transfer portal.
Well, I think I got a love-hate relationship with the portal. I think there are 3 reasons kids should transfer, in my opinion. It's one, family emergency, or you just have to transfer.
Yeah, I like that.
2, I think if you've done everything you can to earn playing time, but you just honestly, there's no way you fit in. There's no way. You've gave all the amount of effort that you could give, and there's no way you have to leave. There's someone better than you, or 2 people better than you, or 3 people better than you. It happens. And or the coach treats you differently.
Yep.
Or treats you poorly. I think those are the reasons. But now we make it to where kids can transfer because they don't like Adidas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that aspect of it, like I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, let's go back to when we came out. I was committed to the head coach. You know, I wasn't really committed to institution.
That's another reason to leave if your head coach leaves.
Correct.
If your head coach that you committed to decide and leaves, I think that's another reason to go into the portal. Sorry.
Yeah.
But also the coaches could leave at any time. So I think the balance, I think that everything has to have checks and balance. Like before, our coaches could do whatever. They could treat you however, they could leave when they wanted to. They could say, well, I just don't like him and he's not going to play. And we saw it at our school. We saw it. But now, I mean, I agree with you that it went too far. The transfer portal at one point went too far. But now they have a rule. You can only leave once. You got a one-time,
Correct.
Non-penalized like transfer. So now it's even getting to be more balanced itself. So I think, no, I don't see anything wrong with it.
So Pauline, to go back to your answer and dissect it a little bit, when you said you're just not going to get playing time, is it your junior year when you're not getting playing time, or is it, hey, you come in as a freshman and they bring in 2 freshmen All-Americans and you're like, whoa, I see the writing on the wall.
No. I'll give it at least to the junior year. I think you need to at least be there for 2 years. Freshmen, I mean, we're all at an advantage. There's no disadvantage in this. Like, we're all even, right?
Yeah.
And so if those 2 other freshmen beat me out and I know there's no way I'm better than them, and I mean, you have to be real with yourself at this point. You know, as a student athlete, like I got to know, like they're better than me. And if I really want to play, if I want to average 20 minutes, I need to go somewhere else.
But can I say something to that though, too? Because I think that there's what we're talking about is the level of expectation. If your expectation does not match up with your coach's expectation and you can't find a common ground, you probably do need to go. If the coach's expectation is for you to come in as a freshman and play 5 minutes, if you can't do that 100%, well, what are you going to do? It's usually create an issue, right? If you, as a junior, are seeing yourself play 40 minutes, but the coach sees you playing 20, that's probably going to create an issue, right? That's a problem. See, I don't know. I see you nodding your head. Tell me, you have experience with that?
Yeah, with me, we didn't have the portal. So I had an opportunity to transfer to USC, and I didn't take it. Because I wanted to stick it out. Because me and Brandon, we come from the old school, like Delray Rocks, tough, you don't quit nothing. And I didn't. I stayed a little bit too long. And, it was a problem. So I would say Joe Burrow, like from Ohio State, he was never going to see the field. He was never going to go to the pros if he hadn't took that chance and transferred to LSU. And I think he's one of the prime examples of why we needed the portal.
If y'all don't know about Joe Burrow, he transferred from Ohio State to LSU because he wasn't going to play at Ohio State. Came to LSU, won a national championship, and was he the first pick of the draft?
He was the first overall pick.
First overall pick of the draft.
Yeah,
now he's with the Cincinnati Bengals. He got him in first place in their division. So that's where it did work. But my thing about the portal.
But it wasn't even a portal back then.
Yeah, it wasn't even a portal.
What he did was he got to a senior year, got his degree, and then he transferred, and he had 2 years of eligibility left. So, but I'm just saying as an example, guys like that, countless guys that we know on our squad that didn't make it to the pros, they should be 15-year vets by now or retiring. Now their whole families are pretty much living off of like a regular paycheck where they could have been living really well, I feel like. I mean, that's just my perspective and what I've seen. And like with B, like he said, stick it out. I agree with you, Pauline, that you should stay at least to your junior year. I always said that because I did that, but I kind of went to my senior year. So I would say the portal it gives us the power. Well, the athletes the power.
So for me to piggyback on that, right? You know how you said you had a love-hate relationship with the portal, Pauline? My love-hate is that some of these players, like you said, they might transfer because they don't like Adidas. It's just something so simple.
Right.
And even if they do leave early, they leaving without another school to go to. So I seen so many kids just thinking all these schools that were recruited me before I signed here, they'll always be there. And once they leave the school they at now, they really have nowhere to land. So for me, I seen so many kids, throughout college leave a great program thinking they was going to bounce to another program, but they were just out there just for the drive. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have nowhere to land on their feet. So that was my hate part of the process. And I think it's so many of those situations that people that they don't know about. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I initially didn't like the portal like that. And then going back to your point, Lacey, I want y'all both to, comment on this after, but going to your point, when can a player just come and sit down, you guys think, with a coach and say, listen, I'm not satisfied with my playing time right now. I am expecting this. You're expecting that. If I can't at least get this, I think I should enter the portal because I don't think my playing time is going to be where I think it should be, or maybe it's not where you even think I fit in at. Would a coach, do you think a coach would take that as kind of disrespect, as saying like, hey, I know you want to enter the portal, so I'm going to definitely be hard on you and I'm definitely looking to replace you? Or do you think players can have that relationship with their coach to just come and talk to them about, hey, this is how I feel. Just please guide me where I need to go so I don't make this decision blind.
Yeah, I'll comment on that because I was more on the side of you should go talk to the coach. But I know in our situation, we do have a coach that's really open to sitting down. And our biggest helpful tool that we use is we stat everything. Okay, so we can film stats, hard facts that say, this is what you're doing in practice, this is what you've done in games, and this is why this person is playing a little bit more than you, or XYZ, whatever the case may be. And so I think if a student athlete comes in and sits down in the coach's office and sees those hard facts, and the coach has something to give back to them, then they're both on the same page and they can both move in another direction if that's what needs to happen. But I do think our end game in women's basketball is different than it is in college football, because y'all's end game is to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Our end game is to have a great college experience and hopefully win a national championship if that's what you personally want. A lot of girls just want to have a great college experience. If your college experience is driven by points scored, how many Instagram likes you get on your post because you had 25, and that kind of thing, you probably do need to transfer and maybe go to a school. I know Pauline and I were talking about this yesterday. Sometimes it's better for you to leave a big BCS school and go to a mid-major because you get all those things. You get a great college experience with the balance. You're not in the gym, in the weight room, in the training facility. I mean, as hard maybe that your time and efforts are spent differently in different areas, and then you're able to kind of play a little bit more minutes and have the ball in your hands a little bit more than what you maybe have whenever you're playing around 5 to 10 other really big BCS superstars.
Makes sense.
Hey,
I mean, that sounds great. And the coach that you're talking about, that's a great experience to have. But I just also feel that it's going to be college coaches around the country that's going to be like, wait. I know you just ain't walk in my office.
Oh, yeah. Some of them, the ego. Yeah,
it's going to be there. You think about transferring because I'm not playing. They almost take that as a threat almost. You don't think a coach will feel that at all?
Oh, no, a coach will feel that way. But I think assistant coaches also help with that as well. Honestly, I've had a couple of kids before and they wanted coach. They come in there and just say, Coach Love, like, I want you to be real with me. And I'm going to be real with them. She's better than you. That's why she plays more. She can shoot the ball better, period. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they want to hear that. It's harsh, but they want to hear it sometimes. But then you go to the head coaches for those numbers and the evidence. And then they kind of take that in perspective. And then maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe this is what I don't want to do. Maybe I want to go to JUCO. I'm a JUCO product. So I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes they just you got to buckle down to get real with them a little bit.
Well, and then, to what C's point was, maybe or sticking it out. If you start looking at those stats, you start thinking, maybe I do need to get in the gym more. Okay, I see that she's shooting better than I do. I want to stick it out here. I like it here. But I want you guys to use me more. I need to get my stats up better than hers. So that's what I need to do. And then you've had that real conversation. And now you're both on the same page and your expectations match up.
Yeah. And that makes sense because most of the time you're going to have a relationship with a particular coach, you know what I'm saying, on the roster. So it don't necessarily have to be the head coach they need to go speak to. Go with somebody that you trust and feel familiar with, and that's why head coaches build out great staffs, because they can't handle everything. You got to go with that person you have a relationship with that's going to keep it real with you, and you just respect their decision.
And the whole conversation we having is kind of assuming that the player is to blame. And it could be true. But you know and I know from our sport, what we playing, it ain't always like that. Because I seen like one of the best linebackers we ever had, Beasley. Matter of fact, I ain't going to call his whole name, but his nickname. From the time he walked into the door at VTech, and Brandon wasn't there yet, they was on him. They didn't like him. He was a 5-star linebacker. They took him from Miami and Florida Miami and Florida State, so that he wouldn't be competition.
Yeah.
And from the start, our head coach was on him, always against him, switching his position, doing things to make him not perform. I recall one practice, he took him from inside linebacker. That's like a position that's so different from the position me and Brandon played. And he put him at our position, and he dominated. And he was pissed.
So basically he's saying like he took a guy that was basically like a center, right?
Yeah, and put him at point guard.
Play point guard, and was like, this is how you going to make the team. You go kill him at the point.
Thank you for determining that. Thank you. I was
For basketball terms.
And he dominated, and it made the coach even madder. And so, like, Beasley never seen the field, and that's insane. Like, you don't understand because you wasn't there yet. You trust me, he was one of the best players we ever had. But it happened to so many players. So the transfer portal, it wasn't there then. Yeah. So, of course, he old school like we are. He going to try to figure it out, and it just never worked. So he ended up being like a guy that no one ever heard of. And it was like countless guys like that. So I'm a big advocate of the portal, and I do think they should have put rules into the portal now, like they did, like one-time transfer, because it was getting out of hand.
So there you have it. I mean, we got some great advice from you ladies about the portal. Just hearing everybody's viewpoint about the portal and where everybody stands. And I think we all agree that it is an asset. It's something that you should have, at the end of the day, even though me and Pauline still got that love-hate relationship for it. But it's all for the best for these college athletes. Just to move on, just to a lighter note, right? You said the women's basketball, just profession isn't like football when it's going to the NFL and making millions and millions of dollars, right? So they don't have that end goal to say, hey, this is what I'm looking forward to. And some like athletes might just like the likes and they want to just score points. They don't care about the team goal. How does that affect recruiting? Do y'all recruit players to basically say, hey, these are the best players that we go all stack on one team and we're going to try to win a championship? Or is it just like, hey, we know if they get here, they're a 5-star. We know what they are as a player and their whole everybody. When you're recruiting a player, they makeup, you know what they think about. Are you recruiting some like hard worker 6 women of the year type guys to mix in that? Or you just
like developmental players?
Developmental players. Like, how do you go about recruiting when it comes to building a team, when it comes to women basketball?
I'm going to let the recruiting coordinator talk first on this one because she's the pro, and I know that she has a really good idea of how we build our team.
Well, I think any coach will have this general answer to this is you just recruit what you need at the time. Like, I think if we had Chelsea Dungy or, the Destiny Slocums, those pros on our team right now, you start to recruit differently. But now you got to go find kids to replace that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's different. Like, and that's kind of what we're doing right now is we're trying to replace what we already had. So you're going to need a few dogs on your team right now because we don't have it. We don't have the experience. And I think we're working towards that right now. But right now, we're just not there yet. So it just, again, it depends on your need.
I think also it when you're looking for the style of play and the type of player that plays that style, because it has to fit the coach, going back to reasons why people transfer, right? You need to fit the style of play and you need to fit the coach. So like, in our experience, our style of play is playing fast. You got to be able to shoot. You need to be able to create off the dribble a little bit and finish at the rim. If you don't fit that, then we're not going to recruit you, right? Because you don't fit us. And then if we bring you here, even though you're a dog, even though you look really good and, you're ranked top 5, it doesn't fit. And then you want to transfer.
That's so weird that basketball recruit like that, because in football, it's all about we bringing in the top players. We'll care. Find they attitude. We'll bring in 4 or 5-star quarterbacks, and they'll have to figure out transferring.
Yeah, who gonna make it
on their own who gonna make it. So
that's true.
That's interesting to hear y'all take on what kind of players y'all, because y'all trying to basically build a puzzle. Needs. Yeah, y'all just fill needs because they have less players also.
Yeah.
They
can't miss.
Now y'all hold about 80. I don't know.
We literally have 100 if you count in like scout team that we can have on a team, so you can afford to.
I can't keep up with 100 players.
So let me even break it down a little bit more. When it comes to recruiting, I want y'all to go to immature Pauline and Lacey mindset, right? Coming out of high school, what did y'all look forward to, like, to make y'all commit to a university when y'all was coming out of high school? Because for us, it was like, hey, where the party's at?
Yeah,
it was like, wherever the party's at, is the football team good, and do they got good-looking women on campus? That's a high school boys mindset when they come out.
I listened to your recent podcast where you were talking about all we did was fight and
that's what we do.
Fight and go after chicks. That's all we wanted, just women and fighting.
That's kind of what
that's
we do.
what it was.
we put the education in there also. We got to be eligible, but that's just what we do. That's why I'm asking y'all, like, on a women's perspective, just coming out of high school, what did you guys look for when y'all choosing y'all universities?
I wasn't looking for anything. I'm from Northeast Arkansas, a little small town right outside of Memphis. Mm-hmm. So heck, I couldn't even tell you how to spell college out of there because all I did was watch TV. And so with like rankings coming out, I was one of the top players in Arkansas. I didn't know that. I just knew I got a trophy at the end of my senior year saying I was the best player in the state. Didn't know, I had no clue. So Memphis was like 45 minutes away. And I knew the head coach there, Joy Lee, who's at Southern Miss now. Me and her were tight. She was loyal to me. I was comfortable with her. Again, I didn't care how the university looked, how the institution looked. Right. I was committed to her. And so I committed to Memphis. She left and went to Southern Miss. I just followed her. Again, I ain't never took a visit. I ain't never been to Mississippi.
Talk about your official visit. Where you went to your official visit?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I was jumping to it.
I never even, they begged me to take the official visit. I didn't know what to expect. So I'm from the country now, from the Arkansas Delta. And I hadn't been outside of Memphis. So we get to Southern Miss and we going through the visit or whatever. I see all these people. But the highlight of my visit when they took me to Chuck E. Cheese, that was like Disney World.
I love your accent.
That was like Disney World.
She has a picture on her desk right now. She's smiling so big in her limited 2 shirt or whatever it was, just smiling so big.
That was the best day of my life. I committed right then and there. I was like, I'm at Chuck E. Cheese. This place big. They got a few Walmarts. I'm good.
You get toppings on your pizza and everything at Chuck E. Cheese. I feel you, Pauline. What about you, Lace? What was your thing that you had to see when you went to your school that made you want to be there?
It wasn't anything that I had to see. It was basically that the person who was recruiting me needed to give me all the information because I just didn't know. So the person who gave me as much information as possible, like, we're going to pay for all your school. Everything's going to be paid. And then you're going to come here and this is the position that we see you playing in. X, Y, and Z. We're going to play you here as a guard, and you're going to be able to do this. And then you have your degree program here. You're going to graduate. You're going to be able to do an internship. He gave me all the information because every other school that I talked to, limited schools, because I didn't know the process. I wasn't good at that. So I needed to have somebody come to my house and say, this is everything that we're going to give you, and then shove it in my face and say, you want to take it or you want to leave it? And I signed right then, like, yes, I'll take it. Little did I know that it was probably a school that, I excelled there. I was player of the year. I did a lot of really good things for Division II, but I probably could have played at a higher level had I have known how the recruiting process went, which is why I'm so kind of intrigued with it now.
That is so weird how mature y'all are as women more than guys. Like, oh my
about
God.
The graduate program.
When it came to education, we like, get to the good part. Like, who gonna be my host tonight? Like,
we didn't even add our classes to late. Remember that? Like,
Brandon, why did you make your decision at VTech?
Because I went to like one of the livest parties at the time. Well, first I went to a football game.
C's took you to a live party.
He was at the same one, yeah.
Yeah. Like the football game was live, the parties was live. So it's like, why else wouldn't I come here?
I won't tell him how that night ended, but
please don't tell him how that night ended. But yeah, it was just like the visit sold me the atmosphere of the game, and then the party was live, and I was cool. And what also got me was I was cool with everybody in the locker room. Because if I would have went to a school and some of the players was hating, it was kind of like, oh, we bring another Florida boy up here. If I'd have heard too much of that, I wouldn't have wanted to come because I'd have felt like it would have been teaching. Yeah, it wasn't a fit. So before we wrap up, knowing what you guys knew when y'all hit the recruiting process, do y'all thought process change when you bring recruits in, being like, hey, if it's a player from a little time in Arkansas, Pauline, she might not need to see much, so you can group her with a host that's not going to do too much and she'll be all right. But if you got a girl coming from Miami, do y'all try to pair her up with somebody that might go out and show her the town? Do y'all like do that on purpose, or you just like whoever, y'all just go out and have a good time?
No, you got to match somebody that's going to match that recruit's personality. You got to. I mean, that's even making the decision to go on when you go into home visits.
Yeah.
You going to somebody like from the small town, you don't want to be wearing your Louis Vuittons and your Gucci headband and all that stuff. You got to dress down a little bit. You don't want to intimidate that person or those people. But yeah, we try to match kids with their similar personalities.
And let me just say, the people from small towns are worse about going out and getting out and trying to find stuff than the people from Miami. People from Miami are like, I can chill. I've been out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm on my visit Thursday, Friday. We can chill.
Yeah.
People from small town like, what's going on? What can we get into Yeehog? Can we ride the bull? All this stuff. So
But one question I want to ask, y'all don't have anybody you're recruiting that has pro aspirations? Like when you go into these homes, you don't have any recruiting pitch that says, hey, you can go to the WNBA if you come here, or you can go overseas and you can make X amount of dollars. That's not in y'all pitch at all?
Well, I think at first it is, and then you get kids that they come here and they're just like, well, maybe that's not what I want to do. Maybe I just want to have a good basketball career and I want to focus on getting my master's degree in 4 or 5 years. So I guess it's different. It's not as much as it is with y'all in football and also in men's basketball. So, I mean, it's literally 1%, less than 2%.
Yeah, you can kind of feel that out though too, whenever you're recruiting them. And if hearing what they talk about, if they've played USA basketball, if they've played on the big EYBL circuit with the girls EYBL with the Nike or big Adidas or Under Armour, they kind of start to have these bigger, higher aspects of like playing WNBA or going overseas. And then, with all the NIL stuff coming in and the agents and all that, they've kind of built their brand or are starting to build their brand coming into college. And so they have this higher, bigger picture than I think when we were, graduating high school and graduating and leaving college, and just a bigger picture of yourself and what you can achieve and what you want to do after.
But how do y'all I know we talked about this. How do y'all feel about NILs before we get off? Like, how do you feel about it?
It hasn't been an issue for us. One, because college coaches can't really be too involved with it right now. But we are just challenging our kids to stay, focused on the primary stuff and as much as they can to really carve out time for these things, but then stay focused on school and stay focused on your basketball, because kind of that's why that's why you're having all these deals. That's why you're going to these photo shoots and going to these interviews and taking these pictures and signing these autographs is, stay focused on the main thing. Why are you smiling like that?
By all means, get that paper. Got a 2.5, 2.0. Don't make them 6 figures.
Yeah.
That's why you're smiling.
That's why I'm smiling. I mean,
I like that y'all got that balance, because, a lot of players will want to do what Pauline said and say, if the money here, we here. But a lot of parents and some even players agree with you also, Lace, when it's like, hey, I do want to just focus on everything. I don't want to get sidetracked. So it's great that y'all got that little balance between y'all. But we want to definitely thank y'all for coming on the show. It was a very insightful, man. I think we helped a lot of high school, college athletes out there just with our thoughts and just how we would approach the transfer portal, our thoughts on the transfer portal and recruiting. So, Lacey, we always do a quote of the day on the Cover 24 podcast. You want to leave us with a quote today while we heading off?
You cannot correct what you're unwilling to confront.
Appreciate y'all again, Lace, Pauline. It was a pleasure.
Y'all.